everyone, following on from yesterday's post where I asked a couple of questions about how well do you move when you're exercising and how much focus do you put onto the quality of your movement when you're doing your workouts, I thought I'd give a couple of examples from yoga of how we can make adjustments to the load slightly by using yoga blocks to help us make more progress. So although if you continue to practice regularly and mindfully, you definitely will make progress, there can be an advantage to using supports, props, to help us change the feel of the move slightly, shift the load around slightly, maybe reduce the intensity, change the feeling so that we can make more progress more quickly and then work to a place where we no longer need that support. So I'm going to demonstrate just a couple of different poses that you'll come across regularly, whatever type of yoga practice you do, whether that's in a vinyasa class or in a body balance class, and just show the difference between not using blocks and using blocks, and see if that helps give you some insight into what I was talking about. So let's start with the downward facing dog, one of the standard yoga poses you'll get in almost every class. So you want to start with your hands shoulder width apart. Tuck the toes under, lift the hips high. So what we're looking for in this pose is the shoulders drawing down the back away from the ears. The spine is long and straight and lifted up. The belly is pressing towards the thighs and the heels are starting to lower towards the floor. And if you're tight, as I am, as a runner, through the backs of the legs, through the calves and the hamstrings and the lower back, that tightness will prevent the heels from dropping down to the floor. I can practice that way, absolutely fine, and as I said, over time that will hopefully start to change. But what happens when we use the bricks, and these are standard side blocks, you might have seen these in the gym where you practice, you'll definitely have seen them if you've been to a yoga studio. Using these to sort of lift the floor and support your hands means that when we lift up into a down dog position, we can get that lovely straight back and the heels are much lower to the floor, and that really changes the feeling of the pose. I can feel more openness through the backs of the legs rather than tightness hanging on to hold in that position. So if I show you again from the floor, if I was to try and force my heels down lower, you might see that, notice a change in how the lower back is. It might start rounding out more, or the shoulders will start scrunching, or something else will be compromised. But to keep that lovely long spine, the heels need to be up. But with the blocks, you can have long legs and a long spine. Okay, pose number 2, another one that I often see people struggle with, is stepping forward from a down dog into a lunge. So you need to bring the leg through in that space underneath the body. Now, having a strong core, strong shoulder girdle and arms to help create that space is good to start with. We also need the strength and the flexibility through the hip to be able to move forward into that position. So let's see what it looks like from the floor. So we lift up the right leg, draw the knee forwards and try and place the foot between the hands. You can see it only gets so far. My back's quite lifted and I'm going to have to use the hand to scoop the leg forwards. Now with the bricks, I'm actually going to lift these up onto a slightly higher setting, because I know this is a pose I really do struggle with. So we come back to that down dog, lift up the leg, draw the knee in, and I can almost get there. And you can see my bum's not quite so high in the air trying to get there. So over time, that will help, because I'm able to get further forward, that will help strengthen the hip more in that knee drive forward. I'll also get the sensation of what it's meant to feel like through the shoulders without having to switch the arms around to pick up the leg. Okay, let's do one more. So let's come up into a forward fold. So with your forward fold, You want to imagine that you have straps underneath the soles of your feet, underneath your heels, and we want to keep tension in those straps all the way up the back of the body, all the way over the top of the shoulders. So we're going to lift and lengthen the legs, tuck the belly in, working to keep the lower back open, the shoulders forward, and that's about as far as I can go, maintaining a nice alignment. So what I can do now is lift my bricks up, put some pressure in through the arms, and that starts to, that support from the front and the top half of the body helps things to open up through the lower half of the body, so that actually even after a couple of just deep breaths here, maybe I can take it down, take the blocks down a level. Maybe that's not quite right for today. So what you can see is it gives you more opportunity to create different sensations within your poses, and helps it to feel less of a battle. And as you can see, I'm not the perfect yoga body. I'm not able to execute any of these poses beautifully, you know, Instagram worthy. I struggle with tightness everywhere, and it's something that I know a lot of other people struggle with as well. So it's nice to have those options where you can create a different feeling, and working regularly with that support helps the whole thing feel much nicer and more enjoyable to practice, which means you're more likely to practice more often, and that's what's going to help you make progress in the long term. So that's it for today, the example with the yoga blocks. And if there are any other poses that you are curious about, that, you know, can I use blocks with this pose, what other options do I have for support, drop me a message and I will follow up with you. Thank you.